DeBarono Cerrone. That's him. That's Chris, our district attorney. Check him out. We also have Tony. Now I'm trying. Raborcha. Listen. He is our school superintendent. Brian Davis. He is, tell me because I don't know.
I'm the communications specialist.
How about that? He communicated that to y'all. He's the specialist. Roger Wayne. He is our food program director here. And he is a wonderful help to our community. And last but not least, our very own Lieutenant Hollis. Dawn, please forgive me. Dawn Mayer. Mayor, okay.
Hi, everybody. I'm here. I'm Dawn Mayer, the Director of Student Climate and Belonging for the Cookville.
Thank you, Jesus.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Dawn. Just quickly, Lieutenant Hollis. My grandson was in preschool. Every day coming home, Lieutenant Hollis, Lieutenant Hollis. Who is Lieutenant Hollis? This man has been a part of my life for over 23 years, and he didn't know it. I knew him before he knew me because the kids brought him into the households. That's our Lieutenant Hollis. Okay, so the agenda for this day, we're going to have our NAACP president come forward, Ms. Shadell Quiones. She's going to come forward and give us an understanding of the MLK holiday as well as voting, which is so necessary. So necessary. And following her, we'll have Mr. Will Todd come up and just introduce our students for the forum, and we shall be fed. Amen? Okay, so Shadell. Good morning, everyone. On this beautiful snow-covered day, thanking God that we all did get here safely, soundly. I know that I stand between you and our distinguished panel, so I'm going to do my best to not stand before you long, but to accomplish the assignment that was set before me. And so just in talking about the meaning of the MLK holiday and tying that into the importance of voting. This last election cycle, one thing that resonated for me was that I learned and discovered that here in Coatesville, the city town that I have come to love, we don't really have an issue so much with registration of voting. Folks are registered, and we're glad about that. The issue for us is folks being engaged in the process and getting out to vote. And so one of the primary, I think, assignments and purposes for us in the NAACP is to educate, to get folks registered, to inspire people to vote. You know, somewhere along the line, there was a lie that was told that some of us began to believe, and that was that our voice and vote did not matter. And notice I said a lie that was told and perpetuated. And this is here in my little write-up. But it is a lie. And we seem to be in our community some of the only ones that believe it because others don't. They know the power of our voice and our vote, thus the voter suppression efforts and oppression efforts and all of that. So I hope today, as well as the continued work of the NAACP, is that folks are informed, engaged, and inspired to do their civic duty, which is to vote. So I'm going to start here and go through my notes with regards to just the meaning of the MLK holiday. And I think one of the first things I want to say for the babies in the room, because my hope is that we all, the other of us, know this, Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday is January 15th. When the MLK holiday came into law, I think some of us got a little confused and thought that his birthday was always the third Monday in January. No, that is the holiday. But his actual birthday is January 15th, and I know that intimately because it's my birthday as well. So I just wanted to put that out there. So, thank you. So after a 15-year campaign that was led by the late Coretta Scott King, the Black Congressional Caucus, and the musician Stevie Wonder, former President Ronald Reagan signed the King holiday into law on November 2nd, 1983. And I learned this fun fact as I was researching. There are just 3 prominent figures in the US that have holidays named after them, just 3. One is Christopher Columbus, the other one is George Washington. If you think of President's Day, it's George Washington's birthday, and then Dr. Martin Luther King, just 3 in our nation. When signing the holiday into law, the former President Reagan noted that the holiday was meant to remember King and, quote, the just cause he stood for. He went on to say that America is a more democratic nation, a more just nation, a more powerful nation, because Martin Luther King Jr. became her preeminent nonviolent commander. That gave me pause when I read that. Although the law was signed in 1983, the holiday was first observed on January 20th, 1986, so some 3 years later. And then the King holiday was observed by all states in the year 2000. And I learned this, it was intentionally set for a Monday so that we would have a full weekend of observance and for service. It is coined a day of service and looked upon as our national day of service. And while it remains a federal holiday with most schools, banks, and government offices being closed, with the changes from our current administration, the MLK Day has been removed from the National Park Service's list as a fee-free day. So just to let you know some of the things that are happening around us, which makes me say that this conversation that we're having today and what will come today is even more meaningful for us to understand the importance and how critical this day is, for we do not know if there will come a day where we will find ourselves defending the existence of this holiday. I need us to feel that and lean into that. So we celebrate and we honor Dr. King's life and legacy as a civil rights leader, his nonviolent fight against segregation, poverty, racism, economic inequality, and other social injustices. And we embrace his promotion of freedom, love, and justice for all. The King holiday is not a day off, it is a day on. So while some of us will enjoy Monday, having the day off from work and from maybe some of our normal routines, please always remember that it's a day of service, a day for us to touch the very humanity in the communities that we live in. Dr. Martin Luther King saw in his time the work that he did, calling us to action to build the beloved community. And that beloved community for Dr. King was a society free from racial prejudice and injustices. An aspect of that beloved community is exercised through our civic duty of voting. Dr. King saw the posture of nonviolence as a powerful tool for achieving social change. And one of these tools we know is our vote. Dr. King viewed voting as a fundamental cornerstone of democracy, integral to American democracy and equality. So long as I do not firmly or irrevocably possess the right to vote, I do not possess myself, he stated. He saw it as a moral imperative, our moral duty to build a just society. We witnessed the demonstration, some of us witnessed the demonstration of this imperative during the marches in Selma, led by Dr. King, which were integral to the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. And I'll talk on Monday a lot about that history and how it ties in. In 1957, Dr. King gave a speech entitled, "Give Us the Ballot." And at that time, he was encouraging or prodding the federal government to adhere or fulfill the promises that was laid out in the landmark decision of Brown v. Board of Education. And in so doing, I took a couple of excerpts from that speech, and I think I was jolted, seriously jolted, when I think about this speech happening in 1957 and how applicable some of the statements in that speech are for us today. And so I'll read a couple. Give us the ballot and we will no longer have to worry the federal government about our basic rights. Give us the ballot and we will transform the salient misdeeds of bloodthirsty mobs into the calculated good deeds of orderly citizens. Give us the ballot and we will fill our legislative halls with men, and I might add women, of goodwill and send to the sacred halls of Congress men, I add women, who will not sign a Southern manifesto because of their devotion to the manifesto of justice. Now remember the focus of this speech. Give us the ballot and we will place judges on the bench of the South who will do justly and love mercy. We will place a head of the Southern states, governors who will and who have felt not only the tang of the human, but the glow of the divine. Give us the ballot and we will quietly and non-violently, without rancor or bitterness, implement the Supreme Court's decision of May 17th, 1954. And again, this was the Brown v. Board of Ed decision. Today, we can make similar statements. Give us the ballot and we will, ... Let us all make the commitment that now that we have the ballot, we will faithfully exercise our civic duty. Let us no longer be lulled to sleep or into inactivity with the lie that our vote and voice does not matter. Remember, our vote is the most powerful nonviolent tool we have. While we may not recognize this fact ourselves, others do, which is why suppression and oppression tactics are so fierce. Let us show up to vote in every election in 2026 and beyond. Let's vote like our lives depend on it, because they do. Thank you.
Sit there, but not only just sit. That's something to reflect upon. Yeah, that's something to reflect upon. Those are not just words or some walk down historic memory lane, right? These are actualities, many of which persist even today. And so I would think that just as the mentality was for those who were subject to that unjust treatment, that same fervor is burning hot today in the hearts and minds of those who understand the implications and ramifications of injustice and to stand for justice, right? Which will outshine any darkness of those things that shadowed former times and shadow today. Now, so just something to provide you with an additional backdrop to what Shadell just spoke of. There's a clip that I want someone to set up. Can I get one of the youth at the table back there? I just need you to press a couple buttons. So out of all, think about events like this, as we know, somebody's going to get overlooked, right? We don't want anybody to get overlooked. Names that were not mentioned because they were not provided originally. So nobody was remiss. We were just trying to keep everyone in mind. So we're recognizing young ladies here today from the League of Women's Voters, Janice Schreffler. Yes, thank you very much for partnering with the local chapter. And also Danico Gibson from the New PA Project Posters. If you notice, this artwork is done by a student right here at Coastal Area School District. So just take the time on your way out to observe work between the intermission, which we'll have between some of the two sessions. This took time and dedication that just didn't get there. And in a day of technology, I know it's easy to say, oh, well, you can easily pull that up, and that was done by hand, by some of artistic mind. So we want to definitely recognize that. Yeah. All right, and so just 1 second, please. Go around this. So one further acknowledgement. So I appreciate everybody's out here today. I mean, the roads were a little slick for some, right? You made a decision to be here, and I certainly appreciate it. And so, again, this is a little clip that serves to give us some of the intensity. Because it's easy to look at MLK Day as a day. And, you know, you check off the calendar, that's the day. But the reality is, this is ongoing.
In 1965, images of the Edmund Pettus Bridge would be seared into America's collective conscience. Overnight, the world would become aware of Selma, Alabama. The catalyst for this event occurred more than 2 weeks earlier.
One night, a few miles from Selma, in a little town called Marion, Alabama, in Perry County, a young black man went down and attempted to lead a march, and a confrontation occurred. He tried to protect one of his elderly grandparents, and he was shot in the stomach by a state trooper, and a few days later he died at the Good Samaritan Hospital in Selma.
The civil rights leadership of King and others in Selma decided that they would march to Montgomery to lay before Governor Wallace the injustice of this act and the injustice of voting discrimination.
Dr. King and Reverend Abernathy were determined to be in their church the first Sunday of March. And so we had scheduled a march officially for the second Sunday. But the word got out in rural areas that we were marching to Montgomery. So several hundred people showed up on the first Sunday.
There had been no pre-planning. It had been in discussion. But the go-ahead to do the march did not come until that Sunday morning.
We assembled right next to Brown Chapel in preparation to march, and for the first time, there were not a lot of police around. As a matter of fact, I don't remember seeing any police officers. They started toward Montgomery, and of course, to get from Selma to Montgomery, you have to go over the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
So they walked through the streets of Selma, no one saying a word. It was orderly, peaceful, almost in a prayerful manner.
And on that particular day, we marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge here. And when I got to the apex of that bridge, I looked down the other side, and I saw a sea of blue helmets, blue state trooper uniform.
And we continued to walk. We came within hearing distance of the state troopers. And a man identified himself and said, "I'm Major John Cloud of the Alabama State Troopers. This is an unlawful march, and it will not be allowed to continue. I give you 3 minutes to disperse and return to your church." And Jose Williams, standing beside me, said, "Major Cloud, can we kneel and pray?" And before we can pass word back to the crowd to kneel and pray, Major John Cloud said, "Troopers advance."
And then they literally, with force, ran down the line of marchers, toppling those marchers over as if you would topple bowling pins in a bowling alley. And then they began to beat heads.
Before I could turn around, the front was upon us. They had turned around, fleeing the policemen, swinging big clubs and riding horses just running over people like they wasn't even there.
You saw these men putting on their gas masks. Then they came toward us, beating us with nightsticks, bullwhips, trampling us with horses, and releasing the tear gas.
The last thing I remember on the bridge, when I could see, was seeing this horse just run right over this lady, just full of speed, just wham. And her head hitting that pavement was too much. I fainted.
Pandemonium broke out in the crowd of marchers, and I could see blood flowing. It pursued all the way back to Brown Chapel Church.
My sister Lila was over me, and she was just crying and crying and crying. And blood was falling on my face. I thought it was her tears.
I was hit in the head by a state trooper with a nightstick and knocked down. I had a concussion at the bridge. I thought I was going to die.
It was carnage, absolute carnage.
You would think it would have stopped at the bridge, but it just didn't stop at the bridge. It went back to the projects.
I remember vividly people running back from towards the bridge. They were running towards the church. I remember horses, men on horses, beating the people as they ran. I can see the horses as they rode up the steps of the church and actually went up on the porch.
We had terror all night. They called it Bloody Sunday. It was Bloody Sunday and part of Monday too.
And we got to the church. I looked into the eyes of those martyrs who I looked into many days before then, being president of that Dallas County Voters League. And I tried to give as much comfort. We had prayer. I read scripture. And we admonished all to still depend on the God that we had been serving.
But again, the cameras were there. And pictures of this went all over the nation. Yea, all over the world.
And right in the middle of the ABC movie, Bloody Sunday was shown. And what I mean by the irony of God is that everybody was glued to the TV set that night to watch the movie, and the movie was Judgment in Nuremberg. And right in the middle of Judgment in Nuremberg, here's what's happening in Selma, Alabama.
And so you saw all of these things that Hitler had done to Jews. And then you saw this happening to people in the United States. And it was really too much.
I gotta tell you, it's been a real pleasure working with youth, right? I work with adults all the time. It's always a pleasure. But it's been both a rewarding challenge and a pleasure to work with you. The high schools we have here, the representative HBCUs we have here. We have to look at, they're not just here again for this day. They're here because of who they are.
Yes.
And so, no further ado, they're going to introduce themselves individually, but listen closely because this is and I hope it lands in your hearts as well as your minds, because that's where what you'll hear has derived.
Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you all for coming out here, and I want to thank the organizers for the opportunity for us all to speak our minds and our opinions. I want to take the moment to introduce everyone on this panel. My name is Davis May, and I am a senior at Coatesville Area Senior High School. And then starting with the gentleman on the far left, may you please introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, my name is Corey Fields. I'm a current senior at Coatesville Area Senior High School, and I'm also the current president of our Black Student Union as well as our student council.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jana Remy, and I'm currently a junior at Coatesville Senior High School, and I'm a part of the Black Student Union as well.
Good morning. My name is Maya Sharp. I'm a senior at the University, psychology and criminal justice major. I am the president of the Lincoln University chapter of the NAACP and the vice president of NCAA.
Hello, hi, I'm Zoe Harris. I'm a senior at the University, criminal justice with a political science, with a minor. I am a proud member of Representative Debaters for Incorporated. I am the president of SAGMIS. I'm the board secretary for NCAA.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Shamarly out of Canada. I am currently a junior at Shane University. I serve as president of CNW for the Shane University section, as well as second vice president of NCNW, and I am a proud member of the NAACP as well.
Greetings, everyone. My name is Tayana Salter. I am a senior at Cheney University. I am majoring in forensic criminology with a minor in graphic design. I am the secretary at Cheney University chapter of the NAACP, as As well, I am the president of Big Sister Little Sister organization on my campus. Hello, everyone.
Thank you all again for being here and choosing to be part of this very important conversation. This asks us to be honest, not just with ourselves, but with each other. And I want to remind you all, just make sure you're holding the mic very close to your face, that way everyone can hear what you have to say. Today's panel is called Black Without Apology, Identity, Power, and Liberation. This is not about debate. This is about truth, reflection, and our shared experiences. Before we begin, I want you all to ask yourselves 2 questions. When did you first learn that being yourself could be dangerous? Who did you become to survive, and who did you leave behind? Take a moment and think about that. Okay, so this conversation isn't just about our identity. It's about what happens when the world celebrates our culture, but also resisting our critique. This poem that will be read to you today is about intention and sets the tone for everything that is going to follow. At this time, we will hear a poem written and performed by Tayana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tayana, and I read a poem called Black Without Apology. Suburbia loves my silence more than my skin. Loves me best when I'm polite or pleasant, easy to explain. I learned to code switch before confidence, to soften my voice so my power wouldn't scare anyone, because black pride here sounds like a threat. In these streets, I'm always being watched, hands clutching purses, mouths tightened, concerned wear masks of control. They want my culture, not my critique, my success, not the system I survive. The price of being black in suburbia is shrinking to fit spaces that were never built for me. So I'm done paying. I am choose identity without translation, power without permission, blackness without an apology. I am not exception, I am not comfort. I belong whether you're ready or not.
Thank you, that was lovely. With that truth in the room, let's talk about who we had to become to survive and who we're still becoming today. We're going to begin with identity, who we are beneath performance, protection, and expectation. Tayana, who are you when you are not performing for safety, approval, or survival?
I am calm, I'm honest to myself, and I'm not shrinking my voice just to fit in somewhere that they didn't want me in the first place. I am to show that I can do anything another person can. I'm not gonna just sit back and let opportunities not happen for me just because someone said that they can't. So I'm in a space that my intentions could, I would lead to be president if I wanted to. So you can't just let what other people say, what they could do for you, what you gotta do for yourself. Because it's a world that, the world that we live in, they're never gonna give us hands out at all. Especially students who look like us. They're not gonna give us handouts, they're not gonna give us opportunities. We're the ones who have to take it.
Thank you. Now, recording. What parts of yourself were labeled too much before you even understood them yourself?
Before I even understood who I was, parts of me were always labeled too much. Like my confidence, my emotions, my voice, my ambition. Being outspoken was sometimes seen as aggressive. And I feel like me wanting excellence was sometimes seen as threatening. Even just taking up spaces, I had to feel like I had to justify it. And what I've learned was from being called too much is that Black excellence is just something that a lot of people aren't used to seeing. I wasn't too much for my environment. I wasn't built for it. And I think just going forward, being secure in myself and knowing that I can do all things I put my mind to, no one can tell me that I'm too much.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the next section, power, the uncomfortable truths. Power isn't just about controlling others. It's about who is allowed to free existently in our society. So Zoe, why is Black confidence often treated like a threat?
From my personal perspective, from how I grew up, I went to a predominantly white private Catholic institution for 12 years. I'm from the northeast section of Philadelphia, and I feel like Black confidence is treated and received in such a negative manner. To piggyback off what Corey says, is the automatic assumption that Black cannot coexist with what we assume white standards are. Growing up, I was always raised to stand with my shoulder and head high to the next child, no matter what they have or what I don't have. And growing up, I saw a lot of assumptions when it came to paying the tuition for the private institution or school lunches, and all the automatic assumption that my family was on welfare, that my family needed aid for the different things that my school provided, in which my parents knew what they had to do and what they needed to do as parents, and supplied all that for me. But to go back to the question, I think that it is the assumption that Black cannot coexist in white standards, and that we automatically need to struggle for everything that we have. And that if you got it, you shouldn't be proud of it, because it can easily be taken away from you because it's not something that is a norm for Black individuals. I feel like also with someone's relationship with oneself is truly how you go into the world, whether you're eating or you're the one doing the eating. And as a Black individual, the sense of confidence in oneself, a sense of the way that you look, your face, your hair, your skin, whatever it is to you that means to be Black, if you lack confidence, that you're easily swayed, you're easily broken down. And we're not meant to be built up in this world. We're not meant to be the dogs doing the eating. So if you're confident in your Blackness and what you can bring to the table and who you are as a Black man or woman, you will not be able to be bent the way that they want you to bend. So I feel like that's why Black confidence is taken in such a negative way. It's because it's something that throughout history has been the main thing they tear and take from us. You can't have a confident household if you don't have a confident Black man with you, or if you don't have a strong Black woman married to, I'm trying to find the right words to spin this back together, but it's the confidence in being Black. If you don't have two Black strong people with you, systematically, that's the right word I'm trying to say, I apologize, y'all. Systematically, over the years, that's the one thing you take from Black confidence. If we don't have a confidence in each other as Black people, there's nothing to build up, there's nothing there. And I feel like that's the main reason why Black confidence is taken as such a strong threat.
That was very well said. Thank you. Now, this next question is for Shamar. Who benefits when Black youth doubts their intelligence, beauty, or their voice?
When Black youth doubt their intelligence, voice, or beauty, the people who doubt them benefit from it the most, not them or the people around them. Most people who doubt Black intelligence or their beauty or whatever comes with them are people who do not have love for themselves or what is within them. So they have to tear down the next person or tell the next person they are not beautiful enough to fit in the standard of who society paints Black people to be. That's, for example, a job telling me that I have to clean myself up because my locks don't look up to par to how their job standards should be. That is them tearing me down, telling me that I am not worthy of the hair that grows out of my head
because I quit. Now, this question is for Maya. Have you ever shrunk your own self to make others comfortable? And what has that cost to you?
Shrunk? No. I've adapted to situations, yes. I feel like my mama made sure that I knew who I was and I had a strong foundation of my identity as I was growing up. She set that foundation, and then as I grew, I adapted. There were some doubts sometimes, and then some like, okay, well, this is who I want to get to, but I wouldn't say I ever shrank myself to be in any point, like any place. Because if I can't go into a place and be myself, I'm gonna change the room to make sure that I can. That's just, like I said, I have my foundation. Now, I'm not gonna shrink myself to be in that room, but I do know how to adapt and how to develop myself and develop the people around me, to make sure that this is a place that I can.
And finally, this question is for you, Jayana. Why are young Black people often punished for the same leadership traits that get others praise?
Well, in my personal experience, whenever I have the opportunity to represent myself in a leadership position where I need to be more assertive, I'm often seen as bossy and aggressive rather than strong-willed or passionate. So even if I'm given the opportunities that I've earned through hard, vigorous work, I'm often not taken seriously for the sole reason that closed-minded non-people of color can't wrap their heads around a Black person, especially a Black woman, succeeding in advancing further than that.
All right, thank you, all of you. Now, this concludes round one of our panel. Please, after a short intermission, come back and for the rest of session 2.
Yeah, no, we're gonna get the snow. Look at the snow outside while they're taking a break. That's the snow outside. That's snow. Snowing. It is snowing. People who don't see the snow try to see it now. Isn't it beautiful? It's beautiful when you're in it, when you're not in it. Yeah. That's beautiful, isn't it? Let us know, let us know, let us know. Let us know, let us know, let us know. They're taking a break, so I'm taking a break, a snow break right now.
Man, it's coming out heavy. I'm gonna open it. I mean, it locks automatically, but I'm like, oh, were you standing out there all that time? No, I just got here. Oh, okay, gotcha. I'm gonna leave it open when I go. I was gonna say, you can just turn it on lunch to get the bottom. Yeah, but there's a flip thing on it. I'm just gonna leave it open. That works too. And now that, will stop somebody from upstairs. Yeah, you're right.
Watch the snow. Make a comment.
So beautiful.
Yeah, it is. that ain't gonna make it. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Jesus.
Now be careful, how you chew it. It is.
All right, we're coming back for another session, okay? All right, we're gonna close now. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, share, and become a VIP of the channel. Join the channel. Isn't it beautiful? The snow right now falling, so peaceful. Watching the snow. Okay, we'll be back. Another live. Bye bye.